Hello and welcome back to another video. Today here again on Forza Horizon 5, and it's been a very long time since I've said this, but we're here today to take a look at an actually brand new car that's been added to the game, which is this Cupra Urban Rebel. This car has been gifted to everybody who has previously played Forza Horizon 5. To get yours, simply go into the pause menu, head over to Message Center, and it should be here in your gifts section if you want to claim it. It was actually promised to everybody on the 8th, but it was quite late in the day that it became available. So if it wasn't there for you before when you came and looked at the game, if you did, it should now be available. Alternatively, it is available here in the auto show for 2 million credits. So it is very good news to see a new car in here that's been gifted to us, although in the rest of the playlist there isn't really all that much that is not recycled like usual. There is a new to Forza car in the Secret Santa, which we all kind of already know what it is, but in the series it's all recycled. Summer prizes are recycled, autumn prizes are recycled, winter prizes are recycled, and you'll never guess, spring prizes are also recycled. So this and the mysterious Secret Santa car that we definitely can't figure out are the only two actually new cars in this update, but that is surprisingly still an improvement over the last few. So I have of course already driven this thing stock in monthly rivals, and to complete the 2 PR stunts that it's a requirement for, I did that on stream the other night. And I kept it stock for both PR stunts, only tuning the gears slightly to improve top speed by a couple of miles an hour, just to make that speed trap a little bit easier. And I have to say, for an electric car, compared to the other ones in the game, and considering its weight, it does drive incredibly well. It's not necessarily fast, I just really like the way it drives, handles brilliantly, as you might expect from the amount of downforces on that rear wing. But yeah, so far I'm really enjoying this car, and I think it looks rather cool as well. This is a concept car from Cupra, who are, of course, Seat's sort of posh division. Think of them a bit like Citroen's DS, or Hyundai's Genesis. This is an electric concept, giving some clues as to what their cars may be like in the future, except more road legal, of course, with proper lights that meet requirements, and no ridiculous aero that would absolutely massacre any pedestrian it even went near. It produces 429 horsepower and 658 newton-meters of torque, but does weigh a massive 1,425 kilos, being an electric vehicle, although I think compared to the other ones it definitely feels lighter. This puts it at S1 class 854 PI from standard, and interestingly it's the only vehicle from 2022, apart from the Extreme E cars, in this game, although being a concept it's not really from 2022 at all. But interestingly, this along with all of the Extreme E cars are of course electric, which means the only cars we have in this game from this year are electric. So as much as I enjoy driving electric cars, I kind of like a bit of variety, so I'm hoping this doesn't mean every new car they're going to add from now on is going to be electric, because that would be quite a sad day when even games are refusing to put petrol-powered cars in. I've just realised how the doors open. That is incredibly cool. So in my mind, when I first saw that Urban Rebel was being added, I thought, oh great, that looks very similar to the Mustang Mach-E, which would be a good car to compare it to. However, the Mach-E is a lot more powerful, putting out 1,400 horsepower and a massive 2,486 newton-meters of torque, but does suffer from what a lot of other electric cars suffer from, and that is weight. It weighs 2,250 kilos, making it substantially heavier than the Cupra, and probably why it doesn't handle anywhere near as well, or doesn't feel like it does, as the Cupra. This is at the top of the class of S1 900, and the Cupra is a little bit lower than that, but I think round a track the Cupra would probably be faster. This thing's incredibly fun, particularly for drifting and gymkhanering, and has the cool option to switch between all-wheel drive and two-wheel drive, but isn't actually very useful, and personally, I prefer a car that grips, so for me, the Cupra feels a lot better than this, although they kind of look quite similar, and in my mind, they would be similar cars. But when you look at the figures on paper, this is quite a lot more powerful, but also quite a lot heavier, and yeah, driving them, the Cupra definitely feels nicer. The Cupra also has some cool advanced paint groups, so it only has one manufacturer colour, but if you go into advanced, you can see that the main body is group 1, then group 2 is the roof, and group 3, as you might expect, is the sort of tips of the wing, the little roof scoop, these sort of side panels, side blades, and some little details at the front, side, and rear. So it is quite cool what you might be able to do with this thing. So I will make a bit of a livery, I think, very quickly. Probably just using the paint groups rather than applying any stickers, but I think we could make something kind of cool. So after a bit of fiddling around with paints, I've put my usual purple colour that I put on a lot of road cars here that I made way back when the game first came out. I've gone with the steel for the little blades, the wheels, and the accents on here, and I made the roof gloss black rather than matte black, so it contrasts that roof scoop slightly, and so that it matches things like the wing mirrors. But yeah, I think that looks rather cool to start with. Obviously it's got no decals or anything on, but as a base paint scheme, I'm rather pleased with that. I'm not sure what's happening on the bonnet here. It kind of goes... You seeing that just above the headlights? It kind of goes weird. It's almost where the green dots were are still showing through, so that's a bit odd. But anyway. As for upgrades, being an electric car, there aren't many, as we know from previous electric cars. There are some slightly better brakes, some off-road and drift suspension, weight reduction, which is probably the one that I'm going to go for first. We'll see what I decide to build it for. Driveline, gearbox, although not gearbox, diff. Of course it's not a gearbox, it's got one gear. Tyres, tyre widths, track widths, and motor and battery. You can make this thing quite powerful. You can make it to over 1,000 horsepower by upgrading the motor and battery, which puts it well into S2, which I'm not sure we really want to do. I'm thinking I might upgrade it to S1 and see what it's like, but not necessarily expecting it to be fast, just nice. So I found with all of the upgrades except the power, it wasn't quite getting to the top of the class. So to increase the power by 1 notch, basically, it's put it to 571 horsepower, but it has meant I've not been able to do much weight reduction at all. But it has got better brakes. I've left tyres and things as they were, made them a bit wider, but it's got a little bit more power, a little bit less weight. I'm not sure it's going to be brilliant, but it's worth a try. So the best way to test if it's actually any good, this car, is to take it for some S1 class open racing. It is starting me in last, though. So far it's okay, the turning and stuff's not as sharp as you might hope, but that kind of happens with electric cars. It is still quite heavy, even though it feels lighter than a lot of the others. No! He's gonna get me! Yeah, it doesn't have enough top speed either. I have tuned the gears to try and improve that slightly. So, second race is Los Jardines, which I probably slightly prefer, but yeah, still not sure this thing's gonna be great. I took exactly the same line as that McLaren. Oh, okay. Never mind. Oh, he left. No, that's not gone well. I think to be fair to it, we should go on to a full adventure. Well, we're starting on pole position at Plaza, which is a track I like and I think will favour this car, so if it's going to do well anywhere, it'll be here, so yeah, good test of it, really. Not a bad start. Well, wasn't a very interesting race, but I held on to second. And finished second. So, although a sprint probably isn't a brilliant place for this car, this is the Reservorio one, which has a... Well, it starts with a long straight, which isn't good, but then we've got a nice twisty section that we might... Unfortunately, we're going to have a lot of cars to work through, so that might not work. And I'm already not last. I don't know what is happening to that Porsche. He must be using 3G. Sorry, but I really wouldn't have been over there if I was you. Yeah, that's not going to work, is it? Well, a second place and a third place is definitely an improvement, but yeah, it's still not an excellent car. And we finish up with the festival, which is another track I do quite enjoy and know fairly well, so hopefully all will go to plan, but who knows. Already up to 4th, isn't too bad. Honda's decided to go over there. Porsche's decided to do that. Hello, McLaren. Out of every corner I gain on him and he just does that. Quite a fun race though. But I don't think I'm ever going to quite get that McLaren. Yeah, I wasn't really expecting to catch him, but still, 2nd and 2/3 I'm relatively pleased with in this car, as it is. So, as expected, it wasn't all that great in Horizon Open. It was okay, we got 3 podiums in that second adventure, so not all that bad, but wasn't necessarily against the hardest competition. I don't really recognise names myself, but yeah, as expected, it wasn't great, mostly because it didn't really have enough power and weighed too much. Like I say, I kind of expected that. Potentially it's my tune. If you put some off-road tyres on, you might be able to squeeze a little bit more power out of it, get some better top speeds and kind of overcome that problem, but I don't think it's ever going to be great. I think the problem is it also starts quite towards the top of, well, middle S1, so by the time you've got upgrades on it, it's at the top. So it's a very fun car to drive stock. Did really enjoy it, handles brilliantly, potentially in a one-make race type thing. It would be quite fun, so it is a car to maybe use for that sort of thing at some point in the future. But yeah, upgraded, it wasn't great, as I kind of expected. So yeah, it's a cool new thing to have. At least it is a new car, which is a nice change. It's a cool addition, fun to drive stock, but not going to be great when upgraded. So I'd recommend leaving it as it is and enjoying it as a just fun car to have in this game. But yeah, it is quite fun to drive, so I do recommend going and picking it up from your message centre. It's completely free, you don't have to do anything to get it, so you might as well come in and give it a go. I certainly enjoyed driving it. For now though, for a very first look at this Cupra Urban Rebel, that is going to be all, so thank you very much for watching, and I will be back with the next video very soon.